So if you're going to build your others on here, let's do a new CSS rule. We'll do the next one we're going to be doing is the header. So new CSS rule for that one. And then if you get something weird like this, just make sure it has just your header on there. Define in styles.css. Click OK. And then we're going to choose box. And then I'm going to make this a little smaller than the container just so I can see it. So I'll make it 500. And I'll make that height, maybe 50. Okay. And then I'll go ahead and auto. You can see what happens if I don't automatically or set those margins to auto. And this may be what I want to do. This will be the way that I can do columns later on if I want. So that'll be another tutorial. I know I keep saying that, but there will be a lot of tutorials for you here. But auto, you can set them all at the same time if you want, but I'll do that. Okay, then you're going to get this kind of look in Dreamweaver when you select it. So that one, actually sort of centers inside the top tag right there. If I were to do a different background color for the container and a different background color for the header, I can start to get some design. So that would look like this. If I double click container and I change background color, let me just do a very light gray so you can see that. Okay, but then I go into my header and I'll set that background color to a white. I'll click OK, just like that. Okay, so you can see that fits right in there, so you can still see the white background, and then you've got the gray behind it. That's really not what I would do for design. That's just to show you, how that works when you got division tag over top of the container. Okay, next division tag will be the links, or the next ID. Okay, so the links would be menu, so number side menu there, in styles.css. Okay. ID. Okay, and then the menu will do the same thing. We'll do 500 for the height, 50. We'll do right margin auto, left margin auto, click apply. We'll do 25 maybe for the height would be better there. Okay, background, we'll do a little darker gray so you can see it. Okay, let's go ahead and finish this off with a little formatting for the content, and then we'll put in a little more borders just so you can kind of see what you can do with that. New CSS rule. Okay, again we're going to ID, and then make sure you've got that number sign in there. Content, ID, styles, click OK. And this one we'll go ahead and set a height to. So we're going to do box width of 500 to match up. Height of, let's do 300 maybe. Margins. I'm going to do right auto, left auto. That centers everything. And we'll go ahead and drop a border on here just to outline it. So let's do same for all. Solid. We'll do a thin one this time. And then let's do a little darker gray that matches so we can see it. Okay, let's click OK. All right, and then let's set a few other things up here before I close out this tutorial. Check it in the browser first so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so you can see that we're building a layout here. It's miniaturized. Yours would look bigger than this. Let's fix this a little bit, add in some more borders, change a few colors so you can see a little more what you can do with the design. Okay, so back here, first of all, this does not match up exactly the size of it. That's because like the links division tag doesn't match up exactly. That's because there's no border on that menu right there. So let's change that menu. So I'm going to go to the menu. Let's add a border to that. So we're going to do solid, we're going to do thin, and let's make this a dark color. Okay, just like that. And then let's add a border to the container as well that's a little darker that we can see. There's already a border there, it's just not very dark. About like that to make it a little bit darker. Let's also change the background color on the container. Okay, background color a little different, and let me change that border to black so we can see that. Alright, and then let's also go back to the content division tag, and let's change the background to white on that so we can see that a little better, or maybe a light gray just to give some contrast. Okay, just like that. Alright, and then one other thing we'll do, let's go ahead and change the main background of your page. So modify page properties. So here's the main background. Now I will add in on the next one probably some images so you can see, but let's just change this background to something, let's do some sort of a blue so you can really see some contrast here. Not that I would go with that or anything, but gives you a good idea. Okay, let's do a file save all, then preview in browser and check it, see if it works. Okay, so works just fine. Don't like the colors very well, but you can see it's actually a good example of sort of how you can combine these division tags to get more of a design. So there's a lot going on here. You may have to watch this tutorial a couple times and kind of work through it, but if you learn the basics of creating these rules for these division tags, then you can pretty much see what's going on. So anytime I want to experiment with it, you want to start with a container. I started with that and set the size of it. Okay, so I started with this main square and set the size of it. I set the margins to auto. That centers everything. Then I did 3 division tags, the header, the menu right here, and then the content, one after another. Very important. Make sure those 3 division tags are inside of the container. If they're not, the design will not work for you like this. Okay, then I just started to play around with the background colors, the borders, the sizes, and the colors, and then put it all together like that. So what I would probably do is I'd probably work on these borders just a little bit more. I mean, you can do some interesting things like, let's say I want to do a white border around part of this, and then maybe extend that white border on up so it sort of makes a more integrated design. So what you would do is go into your content. Let me set that border to white. Okay, so I'll set that right there. So that'll put a white border around there. You can see that already gets a little more interesting look to it. And then let me change the right side of the menu to white. So I'll go border with that one. And then we're going to do right side. And then we're going to do left side here. Okay, click OK. And you can see that kind of extends that up, gives that a little outline. That I don't like especially well, but if I change the top one also to white, that might create more of the look that I was thinking of, and that kind of gives it almost a little, makes it stand out a little bit more. So if I preview that in browser, okay, and that starts to look a little more professional. Because it sort of gives it some dimension. Now, one thing you'll notice here, little things will really irritate me. So you want to be, especially when I'm looking at websites that are already out there. When you do your projects, you want to really be paying attention to the details. So if you're looking at this, this is the kind of thing that really bothers me. How this does not quite match up right there. So easy way to fix that: just go back to your header, double click on that, the border, and then add a little border to it, and then you've got a little border up there, and now you can see that matches up perfectly. So one more preview in browser just to check it, show you what I've done again. Okay, so there's the design. It's miniaturized. Yours will probably look better than that. The other thing that you don't necessarily have to do is frame everything. You could leave the bottom of it open, and then it would extend on down the page as your content does. So that's another option that you can do. And then you can sometimes get a better look that way. So if I took off the borders down here at the bottom, and then it extended on down the page. Let me do that really quickly, and then I'll cut this tutorial off. So what I would do is do content, go back to my border, unclick, take off the bottom. Okay, so that takes off that. And then I'd go to container, go to the border and take off the bottom of that one, click apply. And then as I hit return and go on down the page, one thing I forgot to do with the height of these things, if I set that height to auto, so if you set your height to auto, it's going to kind of extend on down the page. So you can see that that extends now, as I put more content in there. So now when I preview that, it doesn't quite have that boxy look. Now I didn't change the content division tag, I just changed the container. But then you get that look where it just continues on down the page. So a lot of stuff going on there. I think it's a very important tutorial for you. Building on a simple division tag layout that centers on your page, has a particular size to it, 4 division tags in total, and then a separate attached styles.css.